Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another tutorial going from zero to producer in 90 days with Ableton Live. I'm your teacher, Torbjorn. In the last video, let's review quickly. We were using Google to search for terms like free construction kits to find some free samples and loops that we could start making music with. We were using Ableton Session View to experiment with different clips, using the arrangement record button to commit to the arrangement that we experimented with and ultimately wanted to have represent our beat, and then we exported in MP3. So pulled up here is an example using that same construction kit. Let's see what we're starting out with. Changeup. Section. The 808 disappears. And we kind of get some outro vibes. Guitar plays by itself to the end of the song. The first thing I want to talk about is using your mouse to click and drag to make a selection. So we can easily take one of the notes here, we can click and drag, and you can see that it kind of highlights that. And there's a few things that we can do from here. We can delete it. We'll have an example in a minute where we're going to do a beat drop and we're going to get rid of a lot of the sounds. So just one sound plays by itself momentarily. That's a cool trick. Command Z to undo. Another really cool thing you can do is you can select a small part of it and you can Command D or Control D to duplicate. You can do some little stutter effects that way. Really cool thing you can do there. I'll go ahead and undo that just for now. Another thing that I love is the reverse function. So if we select this here, Command E will split this into its own clip. We can double click on the clip now, and in the lower left-hand corner here, we can press the Rev button. Click that, and then now this thing will play in reverse. Another thing that I wanted to look at is this EDM style buildup. So you can see this section of our song is where we get all of our drums here together. We get our 808 bass comes in this section. So this is kind of like the big emphatic part of the song for the first time. But we don't want to just go from 0 to 60. We kind of want to give it something to build up into that. So I'm going to take this snare drum. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to Control Copy. Control C, or you can right click on that and hit copy. And I'm just gonna paste a couple down here, 4 in a row. And when I paste this next one, I'm gonna shorten it and I'm gonna start duplicating. And now every bar, they're going to be happening twice as fast. Now we've got 4 again, so let's shrink it. Now we've got 4 again, so let's shrink it again. We'll just do this size all the way up to the end. And let's take a listen to that. We should be building up energy in kind of like a cool way. All right, beat drops. We're going to have every sound in the beat momentarily disappear except for one sound. And I'm thinking that sound should probably be the bass. So what we'll do is we'll let it play through that loop one time, and then when it repeats, just for a moment, between where the first kick would hit and the snare, we're just going to get rid of everything, and we're going to leave that 808 by itself. So we'll make a big selection here, clicking and dragging over multiple tracks. I'm going to press the delete key or the backspace key. Let's go in here. We've got one extra kick drum. We want to leave this first one on the downbeat, but that extra one in the space we want to get rid of. Now let's take a listen to that. Just a tiny little detail, but you can imagine, especially in a song where someone's singing or someone's rapping, to cut everything out and leave space for a really important vocal part, a really important lyric. It can be a great way to add emphasis to that by just getting rid of all the sounds that you don't want momentarily. Another really cool thing that you can do with audio effects, if you hover your mouse over an audio clip, you can see you get little square icons in each one of the corners. And so if we're able to grab one of those top ones and just drag it over, you can see that it fades the volume out of that clip over time. Couple things that'll help you with those quick edits. Hopefully those were interesting and useful. All right, so let's talk about audio effects and sends. Over here on your browser, left-hand side of the screen, if we navigate over here to this thing that says audio effects, we've got all kinds of different stuff in here. These are like quick ways that you can customize any sound. Again, we're working with loops. We want to get away from that sound that everyone has access to for free when they download this thing from the internet and see if we can customize it and make it our own in a way. So let's zoom in on this guitar again. I'm going to look at this intro section, and I'm going to look for an effect here called auto filter. All you got to do is click and drag it onto your track. It'll automatically go to your device view. It added that device, the auto filter. And specifically, I want to look at this filter frequency control. This is like kind of the sauce with this audio effect. I'm going to start moving this knob around as I'm pressing play so that you can hear what it does to the sound. So as you can hear, it's cutting that sound away or filtering that sound away. Because of the shape of this slope that we see, it's got this curve on the right-hand side. That tells us that it's getting rid of the sound starting with the top frequencies and moving its way down to the bottom frequencies. We can even emphasize this with the resonance knob here. I'm going to turn this up to about 50%. And let's start low and drag it up and see how that sounds. So that was really cool, changed the sound over time. We obviously don't want to have to move this filter knob every time we want that sound to change. So we can use this LFO here. We can turn this amount up, and it will cause that movement to happen automatically for us. Awesome. Super easy. We can just set it and forget it. The effect will cause some motion to happen over time. Nice and easy. Let's look at another audio effect, one that I like a lot called auto pan. I'm going to go here to our second synth track. Just a little beeping noise that's happening in time. I'm going to add the auto pan, and what the auto pan will do is it's going to automatically move that sound from the left speaker to the right speaker back and forth. So now I've got my auto pan on. Amount knob is up to 100%. Let's press play and take a listen. If we slow the rate down, then it takes a little more time to switch from that left speaker to the right speaker. And if we take this shape up, then it makes the amount of time it takes to fade between the left and the right speaker and makes that time a little bit faster. So it spends more time on the far left and more time on the far right. So that's cool. Easily able to add some motion to our sound that's happening over time. One last effect that I want to look at is called reverb. And I love this effect when we're talking about drums and percussion. Reverb just takes a sound and it puts it in an artificial space. So you can put it in a big room, or you can put it in like a small area, anything that has some reverberation, and you can control the tone of that. Let's take a look. Take a listen. So with no reverb, here's the sound of our percussion. If I turn this reverb back on, we can hear that it's adding like a echo sound to it. We can make that echo sound shorter or longer with this decay time knob. So let's turn that way up. Listen. It's like you're in a canyon. Cool. Lots of easy ways that we can change the sound. It bears mentioning that each one of these audio effects has a bunch of different presets as well. So if you're not sure what all the knobs do and you're not feeling very adventurous, experimenting, moving a lot of those knobs, or maybe you're trying to move them and you're just not getting what you're looking for, presets are a great way to start. We've got these little disclosure arrows next to each one of the effects. Reverb breaks it into a couple different categories. Let's look at hall. We've got a ballad reverb, cathedral, church, concert hall. So the easiest way to try out these different presets and see which one you like is with the hot swap button. The hot swap button is in the top right of any audio effect. It's like two little arrows circling around each other. You just click on it, it lights up orange, and now anytime that you double click on any one of these presets, it will change the sound for you so you can audition a couple different ones. This one's called long tail. Let's switch it over to small hall. You can hear that that's a little bit different sounding. Warm reverb long. And then once we've found the one that we like, we can click that orange X and it will stop swapping the presets for us. Now, reverb and delay, I find myself using those effects a lot. Delay is like a repeating echo effect. Reverb is like a cavernous echo effect, if you will. A lot of times I have a reverb sound on my track and I find myself wanting to have that reverb sound on lots of different instruments. Rather than taking this preset and dragging it onto each individual track that we want to use, the more effective way is by using effects sends. So you'll notice we've got a reverb track down here, a delay track down here. We can expand these and look at those, and all they are is just a blank track with an audio effect on it. And the way that we use that audio effect is by sending some of our audio signal from another track to it. The way that we send that to the reverb and to the delay is by these little volume knobs that we have underneath our main volume control on each track. So I've turned our reverb off on this percussion track, so we're hearing a dry percussion. And see, as I start dragging this volume knob up when it's playing, you're going to hear some of that reverb effect increasing. Or at least you would. Let's try that again. Make sure I've got my routing correct here. As I drag that volume knob up, now you should start hearing that reverb effect getting introduced. Oh, I turned the wrong reverb off. Silly me. Let's try this. Third time's the charm. I'm recording this live, and we'll edit it later for lessons for my high school students. So bear with me while I flub a couple things and have to try that over. All right. Like I said, third time's the charm. We'll drag that volume up on the reverb. We'll start to hear that reverb sound increase for real this time. There we go. We're starting to get some reverb. We can drag up the volume knob on our second send. We can start to hear that echo effect. Really easy way to add that same sound to multiple different things. So for example, all of our drums, if we wanted it to all feel like they were in the same room, somewhere between -20 and -30 seems to be the magic number, but use your ears. Try it out, turn it way up, turn it way down, whichever one sounds right to you. I'm going to keep them all around -28, -30 or so. And let's just solo all our drums and hear it with the reverb send and without it. And now I'm going to mute it. Now let's turn it back on. It's one of those things that can be quite subtle if you don't overuse it, but the difference can be that when it's gone, you feel like it's really missing, but you don't necessarily hear it when it's there. That's that happy medium that I always try to look for with tasteful use of audio effects. Depends on the song. Sometimes you want to overcook it for creative reasons, and that's okay. So easy ways that we can add different audio effects. Remember, there's lots of audio effects here in this menu, so make sure that you try out a bunch of different ones. Make sure you try out a bunch of different presets. Now let's look at some automation. This is our last point of the lesson. Automation is what takes your audio effects and your audio clips and your MIDI clips, and it takes them to the next level, adding one more layer of customization. You can control how your sound changes over time. You can turn an effect on or off for only one part of the song. It really gives us a lot of different options. And the thing that's great about automation with audio effects is that pretty much anything that you can control or change, you can automate. Let me give you an example. Let's go back to our guitar. We were using an auto filter effect, and we were using this LFO to change the center frequency over time. Let's take a listen to what that sounds like with the LFO one more time. That's cool, but really what I want is for it to start really low pitch and open up that filter over time as we get closer to the part where the drums are coming in. So I'm going to see if I can find what lo-fi frequency here sounds like a good starting point. Maybe around 500, that works. All we got to do to automate that and change it over time is use our right mouse button, or you can control click for Mac and command click, I believe, on PC. You'll get a little menu that pops up that says show automation in new lane. Click on that. Now you'll see down below our guitar track, we get a little mirror of our guitar track in this extra lane here that says auto filter frequency. All we got to do is click to add a dot. Click over on the other side to add another dot. And on that second dot, we're just going to drag it up. And you'll see that number gets bigger as we're dragging it up. Gets above 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, all the way to the top. And now, as we move our mouse across, you can see the center frequency of the auto filter changes over time. Let's take a listen. That's cool. It starts really lo-fi and it opens up. I also like if you hold the Alt button on your keyboard, you'll see your mouse icon there gets a little curved line, and that allows you to add some curvature or parabola to that shape. So you can have it take longer to get to the top, or you can have it get to the top part of that automation quicker. For me, I'm just going to drag it down because I want it to stay more lo-fi for a longer amount of time. All right, let's look at another cool thing that we can do. We can use our effects send for automation as well. So I'm going to, right before the beat drop that we added earlier, I'm going to use some reverb, maybe on this kick drum, to add like an extra big explosion of reverb while every other sound is cut out. So we know that we use this effect send up here on our kick drum track to control how much reverb is being used with the kick drum. So we're just going to right click it, show automation in new lane. And if you use the B key on your keyboard, it gives you the pencil tool. And that's probably the easiest way for you to just draw a big spike in volume there. Press the B key again to turn it off. And here's a couple dry kick drums, and then we'll hear the one with all the extra reverb on it. That's kind of cool. Maybe we can do the same thing with the echo. Right-click on the second send, show automation in new lane, use our B key on the keyboard for the pencil tool again, and now we've got an extra bump of reverb and an extra little bump in volume on our delay. Let's listen to that. All right, let's listen to it in the context of the whole song. That's kind of cool. Maybe we could go in here and we could speed up our delay speed. That's kind of cool. This delay has a filter on it too. Maybe we take all of the bass out of that kick drum. Nice and easy, just gives it a little bit of extra flavor. We looked at auto panning the synth earlier. You can use automation to change that. Maybe we wanted to change the rate so that it starts really slow and pans faster over time. So we could right-click on the rate, show automation in new lane, click a dot, add a dot, and drag that second dot up. Let's take a listen to what that would sound like. Just going from the left to the right, starting to speed up. Getting even faster now. That's kind of cool. Not every example is going to be super exciting, and not every idea is going to be like the award-winning idea that makes your beat something super special, but it's important that you try automating those things because, again, that's where you can take a resource like a loop or an audio effect or some kind of sound that lots of people have access to, presets, free samples, all that kind of stuff. That's the difference between you having the same sound as everyone else and you really customizing the sound and becoming your own unique style of producer. The last one that I wanted to show you, and show you this with a little bit of caution because we're going to be using an effect on our master track called Beat Repeat. Beat repeat is cool. It glitches out your sound. It stutters. It repeats beats, as the name would suggest. The only reason that I say caution is because when you start throwing effects on your master track, you're affecting every sound in your entire song, and it can be hard to go back and change sounds once you have gotten the sound that you want by affecting the master track. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick part of our song to use this beat repeat at, and I'm going to go ahead here to bar 25 and say that that's the spot. I'm going to turn this effect off, first of all. I'm going to right-click on the on-off button and show automation in new lane there. B on my keyboard to get the pencil tool, and I'm just going to turn this on for 1 bar on bar 25. The reason I'm doing that is because if we left this beat repeat on through our whole song, it would totally screw up the sound. We would have this crazy glitchy song. Not ideal. But if we just have it on for 1 bar, that's okay. Here's what that sounds like. Just one quick little blast of glitch. Now we can go through and customize this. We can change the interval 1 bar to 2 bars. We can make it way short. Oh, that one was kind of cool, the 8th note one. Let's back it up and let's hear it in context. Yeah, I like that 8th note one. So we just let it fly for that one little section. And then the cool thing about this effect basically being triggered with the on-off button here is that any part later in the song that we want to use this again, all we got to do is use our pencil tool and just drag up a couple little spots here, and then we can have that effect come back later in the song. Makes for a really cool fill. That might be something that we want to do every 16 bars or something like that. The same way that we were using our click and drag of our mouse to make a big selection and using the Command D or the Control D if you're a Windows user for the duplicate function, we can do that with automation too. So if we want to have this every 16 bars, we just click and drag this automation lane and press Command D a couple times. And then it duplicates, and then we've got more beat repeating. That's cool. I'm going to remember that 8th note trick at the end. Nice and easy. Well, that's all my quick tips for today. Go back and watch the previous lesson and get the construction kit so that you can learn how to structure your first beat using some pre-made loops. Experiment with different audio effects and automation here and some of the edit tools that I have showed you in this video, and see what creative things that you can come up with. Until next time, happy producing. Enjoy.